In today's video, we're going to be talking about... Just 1 second. Think I got him? In today's video, we're going to be... There's more of them. They're everywhere! Today we're talking about the cockroach. Hello everyone, welcome to the Maple Table. My name's Nathaniel. This is a channel where we discuss lore around some of your favorite role-playing games such as Starfinder, Werewolf the Apocalypse. If that's something you're interested in, I would love to have you join me at the table. And you can do that by hitting that subscribe button and that bell notification. The Samsa are a Mockery breed that were created by Pentex. Only Pentex failed in their creation. Not that they failed in creating them, because they did, but the Samsa failed to live up to the expectations of Pentex. Unbeknownst to the Samsa, they have actually gained the interest of a particular totem who I will talk about in a little bit. This particular totem sees two outcomes happening with the Samsa, and both of them work out in his favor. Project Metamorphosis was a plan devised by Pentex to create the perfect assassin. It would have also served as a fantastic corporate espionage tool, but it just didn't turn out that way. The goal of Project Metamorphosis was to create a swarm-based shapeshifter. This way, the shapechanger could infiltrate any business, building, place where they wanted them to be, and pass all of the information that they learned back through a hive mind link. Who is behind all of this? Our good friends at Neurodynamic Laboratories. This was a classic case of the marketing team proposing an idea to people with the money and overpromising and unfortunately under-delivering. The idea that was pitched was an assassin that could be in hundreds of locations around a room at once, and once the target arrived, could form into a single form, kill the target, and disperse again. What NDL did deliver was a human-insect hybrid that has one of two forms, or can take one of two forms, and doesn't separate into hundreds of little itty-bitty bits like the Ananasi, for example. Did I mention that the cockroaches are also afraid of the dark? Because they 100% are. They are a shape-changing cockroach that is afraid of the dark, and their minds, all of them, are broken. Pentex ultimately closed down the project because they were just not delivering on what they were looking for, and there's still a bunch of these hybrids existing somewhere in an NDL laboratory. They just basically sit there drooling on themselves and murmuring about the things in the dark. As I mentioned, the Samsa only have two forms. Homid, which is human. In this form, the Samsa looks disheveled, dirty, and confused. Not to mention there is a distinct hint of madness in their eyes. The other form is a giant cockroach form, and this actually has a German name, Ungeziefer, and I'm sorry if I butcher the pronunciation of that one. Ungeziefer are giant 8-foot-tall cockroaches. They are nightmare fuel. Now, on top of being 8 foot tall and a giant cockroach, they are bipedal, which means they walk on two legs. They also have a greenish-brown tinge to their natural armor that's on their backs. Ungeziefer cannot bite, but they can use their claws for attacks. Each time a Samsa takes this form, they can alter their bodies slightly every time they take it. Mechanically, the way this works is there is a list of traits that a Samsa can take when they shift into this form, and they get to pick two of them. The choices boil down to basically better perception checks, better armor and soak rolls, small cockroaches that sort of fall out of them and function as a mini swarm that the Samsa can control, extra limbs wall walking, and causing insanity to anybody who looks at them. The Samsa also only have two breeds, and those would be Homid and Métis, or Metis. Samsa are also not capable of stepping sideways. They cannot go into the Umbra. But whenever a Samsa is in shadow or in darkness, they are able to hear the voices of spirits and just general not pleasant, nasty things in the Umbra in the physical world. And because they can hear these otherworldly voices, it really messes them up even more in the head than they already are. Another interesting fact about the Samsa, unless they are in their Ungeziefer form, they can suffer from delirium. Now, as one might expect, the Samsa are also fast healers. They have the same regenerative abilities as the Garou, but they do not possess the weakness to silver. But insecticides will cause them serious damage because they are a giant bug. And when the nuclear apocalypse happens, there is probably going to be some cockroaches running around, and that should be unsurprising because the Samsa are also immune to radiation and toxic waste. The Samsa have a real Backpfeifengesicht. I hope I said that right. The approximate translation for what I just said is a face that cries out to be slapped, or a face that needs to be hit, something along those lines. The Samsa are also incredibly difficult to kill. Not only are they just difficult to hurt because of their natural armors, but they're able to use an ability that when they are about to die, they disintegrate into hundreds, if not thousands of cockroaches, and all of them will die except for one. This one cockroach must then consume twice its weight in food every day, and after 7 days, it will regrow, and on the last day, when it has consumed enough food, if it has consumed enough food, it will spontaneously turn back into a human. And this human form will have no recollection of the past couple of hours just before they die. They will maybe get some snippets of their life when they were a cockroach in their dreams, but these dreams come in the form of nightmares. Every time this happens to a cockroach or to a Samsa, they do get another permanent derangement. So there is a mental cost to continuing to live. Now the Samsa cannot go into the Umbra, but they can learn some spiritual gifts if they listen long enough to the right spirit. And there is one spirit who has tried to take them under its wing, even though the Samsa just don't know it. It's also working with the Glasswalkers of the Garou. This spirit, or this totem, who has a fascination for the Samsa, is called Cockroach. Big reveal there. Cockroach is one of those spirits who's more Weaver aligned than any other spirit or any other totem that is kind of around in the Umbra. Now there are a couple of reasons that Cockroach wants to teach the Samsa some of his gifts. One would be that Cockroach is a survivor. He is one of the Spirit Court's best survivors, and his intention is to continue living and continue surviving even if the worm succeeds in destroying everything. And Cockroach believes that the Samsa could prove useful in this eventuality. Secondly, the Totem Cockroach is very curious about these new creations, the Samsa. They do have a distinct corruption smell about them, but Cockroach wants to see how the Samsa perform in their survival. He wants to see what they're capable of. Samsa are unfortunately not loved by many spirits. Even worm spirits, they just don't like the Samsa. And Cockroach plans to use this to his advantage, making it so that the Samsa feel comfortable with Cockroach. He would basically be the only spirit that they would be able to talk to, or want to talk to. And through this relationship, Cockroach might actually be able to turn the Samsa from the worm to Gaia, and they would become minions or warriors of Gaia in that sense. But that's all just a great big maybe, and it really depends on how the Samsa handle themselves moving forward. So what are my thoughts on the Samsa, and how would I use them in a story, or how would you use them in a story? Well, I think the story for the Samsa is rather sad. They didn't ask to be created. They didn't ask for the ability to hear spirits and go completely crazy, but yet they have it. They didn't ask to become a pawn in another powerful spirit's game. I don't feel that this is a tribe that should be tainted or have that worm smell on it related to the corruption, because they didn't ask for what they became. I guess neither did the Warwolves or the Yeren, but at least they're making the best of what they've got. The Samsa just want to really be left alone. They are afraid. On paper, it was a great idea from concept to be able to use them. I think if you're going to use the Samsa in your game, one easy way to do this would be having your players come across a Samsa or some research about a Samsa and just learning some of the tragic and horrible backstory that there is related to this Mockery breed. Another way to incorporate them would be doing a redemption arc or a spiritual intrigue, getting the Totem of Cockroach involved because, glasswalkers. In some of the scenarios that happened or the adventure paths that exist within Werewolf the Apocalypse, in one instance, the Samsa actually became further ingrained into the worm, and Cockroach himself was led to the worm, which led to the destruction of the Glasswalkers. Speaking of destruction, don't forget to destroy that like button if you found value out of the video today. And thank you to my wonderful patrons, Caneroot, Warpony, Ducky, Get of Math Rocks, B.A. Bravo, Arutvin, The First Layer, Bones Malone, Westheimer, and Ain't No Waifu. If you would like to get your name on that patrons list, then check the link in the description below. If you would like to know more about the Mockery breeds and Pentex, then I suggest you click on the playlist that is on the screen right now. My name's Nathaniel. This is the Maple Table. Thanks for stopping by, everyone.